The first Star Wars series of 2026 is finally giving us a look at the lost ages of Darth Maul, and I am so excited to break this trailer down. Welcome back, ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in the first trailer for Maul, Shadow Lord.
Darth Maul? I thought he died.
Fair point. Now, when Darth Maul showed up at the end of Solo, it did confuse the hell out of casual Star Wars fans who only watch the movies. A bunch of sports nerds. So let me give you a rundown of Darth Maul's history, and then we'll talk about where this show fits into his legacy. Darth Maul is a Zabrak, a horned species that's native to the planet Iridonia, but many of them also live on planet Dathomir. That is the homeworld of the Witches of Dathomir, who practice a form of dark side magic with the K. Now, Maul was raised by the leader of the Night Sisters, Mother Talzin. Now, even though she is a dark side user, she has like an uneasy alliance with the Sith and Darth Sidious. Basically, you don't mess with us and we don't mess with you kind of an arrangement. As part of this, she offered Maul her surrogate child to be Darth Sidious's apprentice, and this is how Maul was trained to be a Sith Lord. And then of course we get the events of the Phantom Menace where Maul gets a good halve-in and everybody thought he was dead.
Exactly.
But during the Clone Wars, Mother Talzin could sense that Darth Maul was still alive. So she recruited his brother, Savage Opress, to go find his brother. And to do this, she imbued him with dark side energy and he found his bro. However, years of living in sewers and eating space rats turned Maul insane, so then Mother Talzin had to heal his mind. But then, Maul was ready to get revenge against Darth Sidious and the man who halved him, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Maul and Savage Opress began to form a criminal syndicate, absorbing criminal empires like the Hutts, the Pikes, and the Black Sun. And they did this by teaming up with the violent Mandalorian offshoot group called Death Watch. And together, they all overthrew the peaceful government of Mandalore. However, then Maul took charge of Death Watch and conquered Mandalore for himself. But Darth Sidious learns about all this, figures enough is enough, kills Maul's brother, and imprisons Darth Maul. But then, in the comic book Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir, Death Watch breaks Maul out of prison. Now notice how now his faction wears red armor with spiky helmets to emulate him. But in that comic, Sidious also ordered Dooku to wipe out the Witches of Dathomir. Afterwards, Maul briefly retakes Mandalore, but then is beaten and captured by Ahsoka Tano right when Order 66 happens. He escapes the Jedi Purge and then disappeared for years. Now, during that time, he formed a new criminal syndicate called Crimson Dawn, who he is leading from behind the scenes in Solo. And then, we don't know what happened. There's a big gap in the story before he appears in Star Wars Rebels, about 5 years before the events of Star Wars A New Hope. At this point, Maul has lost everything he has, but he still wants to get revenge against Sidious and Obi-Wan. So he tries to turn Ezra Bridger to the dark side. Ezra is a Force-sensitive rebel, and in doing so, he learns where Obi-Wan Kenobi is hiding on Tatooine. So they finally meet up. They square up for this epic duel, and it's over in just a couple of seconds. But in his last moments, Obi-Wan reassures Maul that the boy he's guarding, Luke Skywalker, will bring justice and balance to the Force and end the Sith. Temporarily.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Ooh, sorry. I've been crazy today with all these trailers dropping. I haven't even had time to eat. I'm feeling a little lightheaded. I'm getting like Sarlacc hungry.
Wow, what's that?
Oh, this is Chomps, dude.
Tell me more of this. Chomps.
Well, Chomps is my go-to protein snack. It tastes great. It's got 10 grams of protein, 0 sugar, and just 100 calories. So it's perfect for my workout plan in 2026. See, last year, I worked really hard to lose my beer gut. But this year, I want to actually put on muscle, but I need to eat more protein. But Chomps offers high-quality protein at a price that I can actually afford. So when I go to the gym, I make sure to put a Chomps in my bag. So when my workout's done, I get that boost of protein that I need. I also keep a few in my car in case I get hungry on road trips, or I'm just waiting in traffic, or if I just want a piece of jerky. I love this stuff. Chomps is quick, convenient, and makes it easy for me to stick to my new workout plan. Plus, it's delicious. This flavor is jalapeno, but a lot of people prefer original. Let me know what flavor you think Chomps should make down in the comments. So to get more information or find one of the 30,000 stores near you that carry Chomps, click my link in the description, or just go to chomps.com/ScreenCrush. And let me know in the comments if you have a favorite flavor. Like I said, mine is jalapeno. Now, back to what I was saying. Now, we start with an overhead shot of planet Janix, which is a new world created for this show. Executive producer Matt Miknovitz described the city as it's 1 part Gotham, 1 part Metropolis, and 100% Star Wars with all these different levels and layers. It's a city essentially built into a crater on this planet that is untouched by the Empire. It's got a functioning democracy and law enforcement doing a good job of policing their own community. It's also a rich environment for crime and gangsters, but so far, there's been a very peaceful accord between all of them in the interest of business. So this series series is taking place right after the Empire takes control of the galaxy, basically where we left off with Darth Maul after the Clone Wars. So it's set 19 years before A New Hope, and the events are concurrent with what's happening in the show The Bad Batch. But while the Bad Batch spent all of their time trying to get away from a fight, Maul is trying to stir up a revolution against the Sith. Now this scene is part of a tea ceremony, which is a centuries-old Japanese custom. Now I say this a lot, but I think that Star Wars is most effective when it finds a way to blend the ancient and the familiar with the new and futuristic. He's conducting this tea ceremony for Devin, who is a young Padawan who escaped the Purge. Now according to StarWars.com, you can see nuances in this performance from Maul voice actor Sam Witwer, because he attended an actual tea ceremony in Japan for research. As he's talking, we see people using magnetic boots to break into this building. Notice how the boots are lit up, indicating they are indeed grav boots. Maul says,
"I will show you the galaxy for what it truly is."
Now remember, at this point, people still think that Palpatine is a good guy. He kept us safe. He won the war. But Maul knows the truth, that the galaxy is being run by a Sith Lord, and he's building an organization to take them down. So this is intercut with Imperial troops landing in the city. So then we see what I think is a Sentinel-class landing shuttle, which is the precursor to the Lambda shuttle in the original trilogy, and this is a low-altitude assault transport, or a LAT gunship, which is a holdover from the Clone Wars. And these are the first-generation TK troopers, meaning those are the human troopers who replaced the clones, like we gradually saw happen in the Bad Batch. So this definitely sets this show about 1 year after Revenge of the Sith. This is also a period where criminals and crime syndicates ran rampant across the galaxy. The Jedi are no longer around to keep them in check, and the Empire is still slowly consolidating its power in the core worlds before moving outward to mid-rim planets like Janix. So we see a criminal deal going down here between this Grand Boss and his Trandoshan enforcers and this other fella. Now notice that the enforcer droids are on the other side here, and it looks like they're haggling over a protocol droid's head. Maybe they need something from its memory banks, or maybe one side destroyed a droid that belonged to the other. This is going to be the kind of chaos that's happening on Janix that Darth Maul can stamp out. Now notice, as Darth Maul pours this tea, we can see his magic legs as we pan over to his lightsaber. Now this is not the same saber that he had in the Clone Wars or in Rebels. His old saber was lost in the second siege of Mandalore.
What about the Darksaber? I thought he had that.
He does have the Darksaber, but he left it on Dathomir, where Ezra finds it years later. So I doubt if the Darksaber is going to appear in this show, but it might.
Who knows?
So to underscore the lawlessness happening here, we see the Pike Syndicate fighting in a hallway. Remember, we saw these guys, oh my gosh, in the Clone Wars and Solo and in the Book of Boba Fett. Now this Twi'lek Padawan is named Devin Azara. StarWars.com says she is conflicted. She's living in hiding to survive in challenging times, and she must adapt and accept a future far different than the one she expected for herself. Theories on that we'll talk about later. She's speaking to Jedi Master Iko Diodaki, another character who is invented for this show. And normally, I don't like when they say a lot of Jedi survived the Purge, but in this time and place, it works. We know that Darth Vader and the Inquisitors hunted down the Jedi Knights. So what we're watching in this show is the slow death rattle of the Jedi Order. In the background here, we see a Bith and an Arcona, and later we see two Arconas on a landing platform beside this Ithorian. Now this is intercut with Devin running from an Imperial gunship. So at this point, the Jedi Order have no direction. Some, like this poor idiot Obi-Wan Kenobi, want to resurrect the Order and they get killed for it. Others, like Cal Kestis, just try to blend in and not get caught, while Ahsoka Tano decided to slowly build up the rebellion. So Devin is in a vulnerable spot. The Jedi are not connected to one another, and I think the Maul is going to offer her a sense of direction. See, he will need an apprentice, and he'll tell her that he is the only chance they have to take down the Empire and the Sith. Although, I think their relationship is going to be more like Oz and Vic, if you know what I mean. And then we see this guy with a mustache. Now this is Police Captain Brander Lawson. He's a straight arrow, a cop who is investigating the underworld activity on Janix, which is maybe related to the shootout over the dinner table that we saw earlier. This droid with him is Two Boots, voiced by Richard Ayoade, who also voiced a droid in The Mandalorian.
Cool it, Sanchez, or you'll get a knuckle supper.
So Lawson is outside of this huge building, which could be the base of the circular tower we saw in the first shot of the trailer. And man, this planet looks incredible. The visuals are stunning. Executive producer of the show and vice president of Lucasfilm Animation, Athena Portillo, told StarWars.com cinematography, lighting, and VFX director Joel Aaron went back to establishing matte paintings on canvas. We also wanted the animation body mechanics and the facials to be more fluid from our previous work, and animation director Keith Kellogg worked closely with CG and our internal animation team to upgrade the performances of our main characters. Now the Imperials are looking at this holographic poster for Maul that reads "Wanted" and fugitive at large. And the text here at the bottom is really small, but you can see that it reads, "This is your mom." And quickly, I want to remind you guys about our Star Wars parody merch at our merch store. We have shirts like Original Trilogy, Hello There, which by the way also works great as a doormat, Darth Master Vulcan, Good Soldiers Follow Orders, I Have Friends Everywhere, Fight the Empire, and Stay on Target. Links for these and many others are down below. And then we get this badass shot of Maul entering the planet on a ramp, and once again using a classic double-sided lightsaber like we first saw in The Phantom Menace. Now it looks like he's fighting local police, and this could be where he captures Devon. I think that most of the narration we hear in this trailer is him talking to her and trying to recruit her. Like we see them meeting and she recognizes him immediately.
Maul.
Now Maul would have been famous among the Jedi as the first Sith to appear in 1,000 years, but also he'd be famous for conquering Mandalore. Twice. And then we see a Star Destroyer hovering over the city, and this is a really big deal. These suckers rarely enter the atmosphere. They're built for space combat. So when they do enter the atmosphere, it means a big crackdown, like we saw on Jedha in Rogue One. Janix is not really important enough to merit this kind of attention, so I think the Imperials are here for Darth Maul. The Emperor would see Maul as a major threat to his plans. And then Maul continues to tempt Devon, saying,
We have all been made to suffer.
He's telling her, hey, we're the same, you and me. The Sith made you lose, and they made me lose. And this is also what we see Maul do when he forms his eventual criminal organization, Crimson Dawn. Now, Crimson Dawn weren't in the original trilogy, but they were a huge crime syndicate, as big as the Hutts. They're even a major faction in the underrated game Star Wars Underworld. And in the comics, we see Emilia Clarke's character from Solo, Kira, take over Crimson Dawn after Maul's death. She forms an alliance of criminals and rebels and the Knights of Ren with one goal: to take down the Sith and the Empire. And then we get this shot of Jedi Master Iko Diodaki meditating before he cuts off a high-speed chase with a Force push. I don't expect this guy to last past the first episode, because if he dies, Devon will then be more directionless and she will gravitate toward Maul. And then Maul is talking to this woman who's wearing Mandalorian armor. Now from behind, she looks like Sabine Wren from Rebels, but Sabine is just a kid at this point. So I think it's more likely that this is one of his former followers from Death Watch, probably Rook Kast. Now she played a decent-sized role in the Sons of Dathomir comic, and she's also briefly in Season 7 of the Clone Wars. My fan theory is always that she became the armorer in The Mandalorian, which is why that character has a spiky helmet and a red chest plate. Now we see this same Mandalorian fighting an enforcer droid with her flamethrower right here. And then Maul is leading other Zabraks in a hallway fight, and later on one of them uses a mini Gatling gun in the Star Wars equivalent of a Jeffries tube. And then the Inquisitors enter the picture. Now these are dark side users, but they are not like full-fledged Sith Lords, and the Emperor recruited them to hunt down Jedi Knights after the Purge. We've seen them in Rebels, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Fallen Order games, and here we meet First Brother. Now this is actually the Jedi that Ahsoka Tano killed in Tales of the Jedi. And immediately after that duel, she went off to help form the rebellion with Bail Organa. And this other guy is named Merrick. Now we saw him briefly in Tales of the Empire, and then again in the show Ahsoka, where he turned out to be a walking fart. So the Inquisitors would make Maul their #1 priority, because the Emperor would know that he is a major threat. I actually hope this show lasts for several seasons so we can see Maul continue to grow Crimson Dawn. And maybe they'll even pick up where the movie Solo left off. It would also be interesting to see if Palpatine ever sends Darth Vader after Maul. I mean, they almost crossed paths in Rebels, but the fight between them was mostly split up into two different sides. And actually, Maul and Vader would have a lot in common. They both hate Obi-Wan Kenobi. Maul says,
Chains can be broken.
Again, he's setting himself up as a kind of revolutionary, someone who can lead the remaining Jedi and the disaffected planets into a new order where they overthrow Palpatine. And then we get the action part of this trailer. We got Lawson shooting down an Imperial pilot with a pistol, great shot, and then Maul also appears to Lawson as a hologram. Now this is interesting, because it looks like he and Two Boots are performing an autopsy. I wonder if Maul appears to him and tries to make a deal. I'll help you clean up this town in exchange for a base of operations. Because remember, what we're really seeing here is the birth of Crimson Dawn. And maybe Maul does get the people of Janix to rebel. I mean, we see Imperial troopers in a firefight on this bridge. And then we get this epic shot with the Duel of the Fates playing.
Can be shattered.
Maul throws his saber into these troopers, catches it, then swings around just in time to counter Merrick. And I want to remind you guys that Merrick does not actually live to the end of the Imperial era. He could die in any episode of this show. The only reason he's around in the show Ahsoka is because Morgan Elsbeth used Night Sister magic to resurrect him. Remember, he turned into a fart. Guys, I am so excited for this show, but if there are Easter eggs that I missed, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below or on our free-to-join Discord server. Or you can find me on Substack and subscribe. That'd be a big help. I'd appreciate it very much. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.